Holly Cotton here, and I love when I get to be on the other side of people who are usually the ones asking other people questions, and I get to put them on the hot seat and give them an opportunity to share all of their answers. Because I know sometimes whenever we are hosts, you wish that someone answered something or you want to interject something, but you don't want to take it away from them. So I have someone today, you guys, Dondric Joseph, better known if you are anywhere in Texas, you know who Donnie Houston is. So we have him today. He's going to tell us all about his journey, all about his show, all the great stuff, the questions that Chat GPT spit out for me. So welcome,
What's going on? How
Donnie.
you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. Okay. All right. So before we go into all of the questions that I have about your career and all of the inquisitive questions that ChatGPT suggested I know that it's in your bio, but a lot of people don't know your story. So can you kind of rewind and go from the beginning and how Dondric became Donnie Houston?
Well, that's kind of a lot, but I mean, in short, um,
Well, give us the short
yeah, in
version
short, I
then.
mean, I'm just, how can I say this? I don't know, man. I just grew up to do all the things I enjoyed doing as a kid, right? So I was always into music. When I was 15, I became a DJ. Um, let's see, I became a producer at 22, but in the midst of that, I went to college. I have a degree in broadcast journalism. Um, what else? Let's see, I've produced for Slim.
So when did you change your
When
name?
I
Like
changed my
when
name.
did you say,
Okay,
okay,
so that's cool. That's cool. When I was 15, so when I was 15 starting to DJ, I never picked a DJ name. I just went from like Donnie in the neighborhood that had the basketball goal and all these kids coming to my house to hoop or whatever. And then I got turntables and all these kids came to my house to like freestyle and all this other stuff. So one of my boys was just like he just called me DJ Don one day, right? And so everybody started calling me DJ Don. It's kind of a plain name. It's like a dry sandwich. It ain't really got no flair to it. You know what I mean? But I was that for a while. And then 2013, I just started. I've always been into other stuff because I've done stand up comedy. I've done a gang of other things or whatever. And so I was just like, man, I got into DJing pretty deep at that time, but I was still producing, and there were other things I wanted to do. I wanted to do something media related. I know it was going to be a podcast. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to act. I wanted to do other things, and I was like, whenever I do it, I don't want to be boxed in as like, oh, that's the DJ that does whatever. It's like, no, I want to be whatever. And I was gonna move too. So that's how the Houston thing came. So it was like I was gonna move to New York at one time, and I was like, wherever I go, I had a city with me, you know. And literally nowhere, just out of anywhere, I was at the apartment one day, just out of thin air, it just came like Donnie Houston. And I just popped up, and I was like, Donnie Houston.
hey, that's kind
Yeah,
of
and I called
catchy,
my sister,
right?
and I was like, hey, what you think about this? And she was like, nah, I like it. And I was like, yeah, I like it too. So when 2013 came around, that's when I just like ended the whole DJ Don brand, and it's been Donnie Houston ever since. So.
Ever since, ever since. Okay, so, and I love that you also kind of went a little bit into education wise because sometimes people they they don't respect you as much or they think you just flew into this some kind of way or you had an opportunity and you don't have the background. So can you go into and tell us about the journalism part because that is a lot of what you do and having to be able to talk to people and then also to be able to work with all these artists because you want to always be like, hey, and I got a degree in that, or hey, I got training in that, or I'm an expert in that as well. So can you kind of tell us like how that became what you decided to pursue career wise?
Huh. Okay, cool. So I have a degree in broadcast journalism. After high school, I started going to Sam Houston State University. So when I was going there, initially I wanted to go to Clark and all this whole thing. My mom was like, it's too expensive, whatever. And so one of my friends was going. She was like, you got to pick a school in Texas. Last minute, one of my friends was going to Sam Houston at the time. My friend Jay Brown, rest in peace, he passed away. But I just basically followed him there. Like, all right, you going to Sam Houston? Cool. This is my boy. I've been knowing him since we were kids. I'm gonna go to Sam Houston. Um, oh, your dad, his dad used to work at Channel 13, and so he was really deep into like the news thing, and he was just wanting to be like his dad, and so he wanted to major in. It was called radio and television. And I was like, oh, okay, what's that? He was like, oh, well, it's like this and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. How much math does it have? So, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't no mathematician. And so I looked it up and they had one algebra course, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right, well, that's good enough for me, And so I got into it, but it just so happened when I got into radio and television, the courses I was taking, a lot of audio production and photography and like all these things were things that I was kind of naturally into. And then eventually naturally kind of led into helping me be better at what I eventually ended up doing with just production and DJing and being in the studio and like all these other things. So it was just God, man, like lining it up because even then I dropped out of Sam Houston for a couple years and was just like, I don't ever want to go to school. Like I did not value education. I was just burned out on the whole thing and was doing, living a different type of lifestyle for a couple years and then it just clicked and I was just like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to go back to school until I figure out whatever this next thing is. And so I go back, take it more serious, graduate from TSU with honors, all this stuff. I ended up interning at Channel 39 while I was in college, like writing for the 5 o'clock newscast for Mia Gradney when she was over there. And just all these other things, man. And even then, after I graduated college, I still couldn't find a job, and I didn't know why. Like I said, I graduated with honors. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have no criminal record. I ain't no felon or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like on paper, it looks good. So I'm like, why is this not lining
Right.
up? But it just was God because it was like those calls weren't coming for me, but people were calling me to DJ in clubs, which was something I hadn't done, and that started that whole thing. And it came full circle when podcasting came out because I've been into podcasting since 2000, probably 9 or 10 or whatever. Back when a lot of East Coast people were doing it and just eventually got into it myself and started kind of telling the Houston story. And I mean, that was the first time that a lot of the things that I learned and what became like, as you said, like trained, you know what I'm saying, on like being a journalist, like all those things, the code of ethics of journal. Like there's certain things that I'll never do that a lot of people do. And, with the podcast thing, like you don't have to necessarily be a journalist to be to be a podcaster or even have a successful podcast to be a journalist. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of different ways you can do this thing, but for me, I still stick to like what I was taught in that regard. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
This is facts because sometimes I get so frustrated when I see these wannabe podcasters on Instagram and it's just someone sitting there talking into a microphone and they don't even have a show, but they have, 500,000 followers because they're saying what women want or having
just a
relationship
little
advice. And
inspirational
I'm
music, a
thinking,
little music behind it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I'm like, you don't even have an expert. Like, what have you done where you're here, or even because me as a nurse, as I'd say nurse lightly, but all of the education I had as nursing, and I see people talking about wellness stuff because also was a personal trainer. I've always done the nutrition guides, all of that, and I hear people talking about nutritional stuff, and I just want to comment so bad, like, stop.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't because I don't troll people, Donnie Houston. I don't troll people. So now that we had that, and I love that you said that about math because I'm the same way. I'm like, I will save your life. I will do CPR, but do not make me do algebra. I'm
I
done.
ain't got nothing for you on that. So
Okay. So my first question is, and I'm originally from Louisiana, right?
you came from
So in
Louisiana.
Louisiana, we have our own sort of genre of music, which is bounce music. So when I grew up, I didn't even know that there was other options for like southern music. I just figured you heard what was on the radio, the R&B music, or when we go to the club, it was bounce music. And then as I got older and I was in high school, then I would start hearing like some of the Houston artists. And I was saying, oh, wow, it's so different. The screwed, I don't even know, screwed music. I don't know if that's the actual word. But you're going to educate us. And so I started hearing all of that. And I was like, wow. So we over here just, pee-popping to everything because it's bounce. And then you guys only a state away had like this slow drag music. So, can you tell us about what Houston, in your experience and your expertise, can you tell us what makes Houston's music scene different than everywhere else in America?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, we have our own identity. It's like everything else. Like my parents are from Louisiana, so I grew up as a kid, like hearing Bounce, you know what I mean, DJ Jimmy, where they at, and all that when I was a little kid. You know what I'm saying? So like, all that, yeah, all that. Jubilee. You know what I mean? I know about all that. You know what I'm saying? I've even interviewed
Mm-hmm.
some of those people, but Houston is just like I think our sound, what we're known for the most part, because it's changed over the years from like the '80s, early '90s to I would say like mid '90s, like the screw thing, early 2000s. That kind of really defined like what we're known for. And that stuff is more so a direct reflection of I think the vibe of the city. Like, we're the third, fourth largest city, whatever the case, but we're very chill. It's very everybody's kind of cool. It's a driving city, so everybody's riding. You know what I'm saying? Um, Even the syrup and all that, like the drug culture, like those are all these things are just things that are direct reflections of the city. So I think that's really what Houston is about as far as with the music and all.
Hmm. That's an interesting point. So now I need to go listen to the people that I listen to and hear, because I think you do get kind of complacent when you listen to music and you just hear people rapping or you hear someone singing, but you don't really think about, is this something that they're seeing in their environment that is actually now coming out in the music, or did someone just write this and give it to them and say, hey, go sing this or go rap this?
Yeah, no,
What do you
in
think
most
about?
cases, no, in most cases, it's a direct reflection. Like even if you listen to Scarface, he's rapping about like South Acres and South Side and Sunnyside and that whole area, or you listen to Kiki or you listen to Slim Thug, he's rapping about the North Side, things that happen on the North Side. So yeah, I think Houston, all our stuff is a direct reflection of our environment and our lifestyles and the way we live and think and do things.
Hmm. Well, next question that goes kind of into that, since you threw out some people's names. Notable experiences or collaborations with people in the Houston community.
What about them?
Have you had any? Who was your favorite? Which ones are like, do you hold close to your heart, or do you feel that they were special, or were you kind of like, wow, this is crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of different collaborations. And the thing is, because I've DJ produced and podcast, like I've collaborated with a lot of people in different areas. Some people in all areas. Like somebody like Slim Thug, I've interviewed him, but I've also, he's also the first person that I produced for, and they had my single on the radio. He's also one of the first people to like take me on the road with him as a DJ. So I mean, all those moments, like every time I've ever connected with somebody, it was something special. But I would say probably stuff I've done with Slim is probably the most. Um, it's the easiest thing to name. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I've done so much with him. So and he's embraced me probably the earliest and the most, and so.
I love Slim. He is such a humble person. I've run into him a few times and he's just hanging out with everyone. Or I walked into a VIP party and he's like, Holly, what's up? He's at Ebony Fit. Holly. And I'm like, what? He's just hanging out with people, just regular. You could just walk in to see him in HEB or something. So I love how he is. And what I wanted to also ask you, Donnie, whenever we're talking about the notable collaborations. So there is a time when you are doing something that you love and you start doing it a little bit better, or there's something that's monumental where you're like, wow, I finally figured out what I should be doing. I finally figured out what my purpose is or what my passion is. So, what was one of those first projects that you did, other than school, other than the news or whatever, where you were kind of like, wow,
This is what I should be
this is
doing.
where I really should be?
Okay. Man, there's a lot of them, but one time in 2013, this is like me coming off of and I tried to run from this so many times, man. I be telling people, man, you cannot run from your purpose. You cannot run from the things that God has for you. You can't, because it will find you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. You can't get away from it if it's what you're really supposed to be doing. So, I've been guilty of that so many times, just trying to figure out, like, am I this what I'm supposed to be doing? Should I be doing the school thing? What should, So there's been times I've kind of been all over the place, and one of those times was at the end of 2012, going into 2013. I had quit I've been DJing in clubs for a while and quit that, and I was just like, man, I ain't DJing in clubs, man. I don't like it. You know what I mean? I got into it with one of the people, and I was just like, man, I don't like this. You know what I mean? I just felt like it was just a new experience, and it was more so I can laugh at myself now and look back and be like, man, I just had to learn things, and I had to grow and mature through whatever, and just learn the way certain things work. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, that's where my mind was of like, nah, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, this can't be what I'm supposed to be doing. I should be doing something else. And, I might have tried to do something else, apply for some jobs or something. I don't know, something crazy. Randomly, my boy calls me and he's like, hey, man, Marcus needs a DJ, bro. We're getting ready to start doing some stuff. And we just had you in mind. Would you be down? I'm like, yeah, sure, for sure. Like, yeah, man. Well, the first thing we're going to be doing is 106 in Park. And I was like, oh, 106 in Park? Really? Like, okay. These types of calls don't come for everybody, right? How many people do we know that do things that we want to do that are peers? And sometimes you may even think they may even be better than you or farther advanced. And for whatever reason, they're not doing it anymore. You surpass them, or certain opportunities come your way that don't come their way. And it's just like those are moments of like that calling in God. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like I don't know too many people who've ever gotten a call to say, hey, here's an opportunity to go be on BET 106 in Park. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many times like that to where it will be that the dream or the passion or the purpose or whatever, like chasing me down. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, what I'm gonna say, no. Nah, I don't want to go to BET, man. I'm just quit the club thing. I'm not gonna no, you go. You know what I'm saying? And so there's so many moments, I can tell you so many moments like that.
Mm. And that's so funny that you said that, because I said that recently in something as well, and I said that because people are like, how are you doing all of these different projects and how are you always staying? And I said, to me, I feel like I'm doing the same thing. It's just different categories of the same thing. So it's kind of like what you're saying. When you're following your purpose and you're walking in your path, it's like all of these other things just sort of, it's like the comet where everything just comes and you're going full force and everything is just gravitating towards you. So it sounds like that's kind of like what you were saying as well.
Right, right, right.
I love that. See, I knew I liked you, Donnie Houston. Okay, so as a producer and as someone, like you said at the beginning, music was always kind of like, I guess, your first love. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, how do you stay inspired and produce new music? And also, how do you figure out what is something that would attract people? And especially with you being around all of these artists, you see that music is constantly evolving. So, how do you, whenever you think about something that sounds good in your head, what are some of the thought processes that go into that?
To be real, it's not a lot of thinking. Like it's a feeling. Like if it feel
Mm.
when I'm creating music or even building relationships, whatever. Like I've had to accept that. Like I'm really emotional. I'm more emotional than I gave myself credit for, and it's like a lot of things I do are like, what does it feel good? You know what I'm saying? Even with music, like I'm not really thinking about music per se. It's just like what feels good. What makes sense right now? You know what I'm saying? What's the vibe or whatever. So it's more that type of thing.
Have you ever had something that you had an emotional connection to and everybody was like, nah, this ain't it?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. What Eric Badu said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Everybody got their stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is my thing and whatever. And sometimes people feel it and sometimes people don't. But yeah, I mean, I don't
So,
think.
without telling us who it was or whatever, give us a little insight. Like, what was something that happened one time where you were like, "Yo, this is it. This is it. I'm telling y'all, this is gonna be epic," and everybody was like, "No, stop it."
Uh, that's happened with the podcast. That's happened with me. Like I play beats for people and they not like. I mean, that's happened with a number of things, man. But
Really?
yeah.
What do you mean with the podcast?
When I
Like a
the thing is when I first started my podcast, it didn't exist. Like now there are a number of podcasts where people are interviewing Houston people and they're digging into like Houston hip hop history and all these types of things, and that's becoming like a theme. But 6, 7 years ago, you know what I mean? When I was doing it, it wasn't. And when I started, I had people that were asking me like, bro, why are you doing this? And some of those same people uh ended up like later on like congratulating or calling and asking me for advice and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. At the end of the day, I think that you gotta trust your vision. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really get caught up in that, but yeah, I mean, yeah, when I started the
Hmm.
podcast, everybody wasn't sold. It took a while for people to be like, "Oh, I get it," or "Oh man, you said whatever." So it's
Well,
part.
and then I think if COVID didn't hit, that a lot of the podcasting world wouldn't even exist. I think because we were forced to have to figure out how to entertain and engage people where we weren't in personal spaces anymore, I think that's what gave a lot of people that push that they needed as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hear a lot of people talk about the pandemic, and I mean, I definitely benefited from it, but I was already going before that even kicked. So I can't really gauge that, but maybe I don't know.
Well, I'm not for you, but I'm talking about all the weirdos that
Yeah,
were
I mean, yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be.
everybody, their mama was like, "Oh, well, let me start doing a podcast."
We got a camera. Yeah, we turned the camera on. Yeah.
Yeah, and now, right, you're like, maybe they shouldn't have had that opportunity as well. Okay, so next question, industry insights. Now, this is Chat GPT, and he went on his own based off of my other questions that I asked. So, what are some of the current trends in the music industry that excite you?
Um, Trends that excite me. Yeah, I don't know. Give me something else. What else
Okay.
tech? What else tech got for me?
Okay. What about challenges that you face in the music industry in today's music landscape? Do you have any challenges that you feel
Challenges.
like you
I mean, I just create from a real place. I think, and I think in this day and time, for creatives, you have to keep in mind that there's so much money and all that tied into it a lot of times, to where you have to figure out how to like do things that are going to be equally as engaging as somebody that may put the fluff. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of stuff that makes it with way more exposure, but it may be a little toxic, or it may be more on the negative side, or it may be whatever. But like for me, I just still try to just kind of stay true to where it's all about, we're in like a click world. You know what I'm saying? It's like
hmm,
you do it, the people doing it for the clicks, and not really more so about for the art, and like the
the
real
feeling, the
the
feeling.
real yeah the essence of whatever it is that they're doing.
That's so funny that you said that because the next question it said was the advice for aspiring musicians, and you gave them advice. You gave them advice. Okay, so let's talk about technology, and obviously, like you said, 2013. You're talking about still being DJing with records and having the whole setup, and now everyone is on the computer. Now there's DJ programs, everything is an app. So how do you feel that technology has impacted what you do positively or negatively?
The positive things is that there's a lot quicker ways to do a lot of things that took time. Even like you said with DJing, I mean, DJing has been pretty digital for a while, but it's got even more simpler with the equipment they're making, smaller equipment and all of that. There are a lot of different little shortcuts and things they're creating. So it's cool. A lot of things that I used to wish would be available are available now. But also, like, I grew up DJing with real records. See, I don't even think they had like CD DJing like when I was learning at 15 years old. So you had to really have a skill and know what you were doing. You know what I'm saying? Now all you got to do is know how to read the screen, and anybody can DJ. So
This is true. This is true. That is so it's almost like I'm telling you, technology makes people feel smarter than they really are. Like there are so many scapegoats that you can use now where you don't even have to be qualified to do something. You can just have researched it and you can pretend to be the smartest person in the room about that topic, and everyone will think you're an expert. But really, you might have just Googled it right before we walked in.
right.
Mm, mm, mm. Okay, so you also, whenever we're talking about people, because people always talk about healthcare professionals and they give us a bad reputation, like we just out here hoeing around and in the streets. They're like,
I've heard about the health world. I've heard.
girl,
I
Donnie,
myself have been looking into getting in more shape myself. I've been looking at a more healthier lifestyle. I've heard the health world is rather eventful, if you
well,
will.
I don't know. I stay out of it. So I get, what is it? Leave me out the comments, leave me out the nonsense. That's me. So I'm like, what? So you also in the music industry have, sometimes y'all have a little bad reputation for stuff. So how did you stay out of the nonsense and how did you not get involved in any type of conspiracy or someone slandering your name? Like, how did you figure out how to pull yourself, or what sacrifices did you make, what activities did you do? Give us the inside scoop on why you not on TMZ today.
You know, I'm just not a clown. Like I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like I like to be raised with some sense. You know what I mean? Like I'm just not a clown. Like I have a good time and whatever, but nah, I'm not gonna be on TMZ, man, looking crazy, man.
I
I'm
said
not
that
gonna be.
someone asked me that, I was like, I just stay out of goofy ish, I just stay out
Yeah,
of goofy
I
stuff.
don't. Yeah,
So whenever we were talking about you and DJing, because there are people that look at you as a role model, and now you are the ones that are paving the way, and everyone's looking at you and Slim, Kiki, like everyone that you said as, wow, I want to be like that. I still want to have longevity in this field as well. So what were some of, I guess, the rituals or the habits? What did you do so that you didn't just DJ and then now you're too tired to do something the next day? Or how did you balance that work life and your personal life?
I don't know if I balance work life and personal life, Holly.
Okay.
I probably that's probably the one thing that I don't really do that well because for me it's a blur almost. You know what I'm saying? The things that I do for quote what's considered my work are things that I would do if I didn't get paid, if I didn't whatever. You know what I'm saying? I still DJ. I still want to do a podcast. I still want to make beats. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I don't know.
Do you have
I'm
kids?
still. I don't have any kids now.
Oh, well, that's why you could just be out here. You ain't got to worry about nobody but yourself.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Like, yeah, it's just me. You know.
Yeah, because let me tell you, them little mofos stop you in the tracks.
How many kids do you have?
I have two, but they're grown. So I'm, or, they don't need me
Oh,
as much as they did when they're not little. So I feel like I'm always telling people I'm in my second chapter because I had kids young. So now they're on their own and I can go and do the things that make me happy. And I don't have to worry about, are you guys happy? Like I'm telling them, I gave you the tools. Now go figure out life.
it'll be great. Yeah.
Go that way, away from me. Oh, well, that's why, Donnie. You could be up all night. Shot, shot, shot. You ain't got to worry about nothing.
Yeah,
Do you have a
that's
pet?
more closer to my reality. Yeah, that's more close. Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have a pet, a dog, a cat?
Nah, nah. But here's what I do have. I'm very very close to like my family and stuff. So like my nephew, very closely involved with him. We're always doing basketball and all these other things. So I mean, that's kind of like my balance for
Yeah,
that.
but you don't have to take care of them. You can be like, now,
I don't. Yeah, no, yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. You can be like, now go back with your mama. Like, go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, we got to get you something. Okay. All right. So,
Yeah, well, we got to give me what?
I'm
What
about
you
to
got to
say,
give me?
so
Huh?
wait, before I go on my last question, so you're not married?
I'm not married. Nah.
Okay, so we got to help you, Donnie, because you got to learn how to take care of something so you can take care of your wife and kids when you get one. See, you ain't got no experience taking care of nothing.
That's all you heard, huh? Right? Oh, there ain't no experience taking care of nothing. Okay, that's
I'm
interesting.
just saying, you got to be like, yeah, I got a fish that I love. I got a spider. I don't know, something.
Man, I take care of me, man. I take care of my. I don't know. That ain't good enough.
Okay,
I gotta
we gonna
go ahead.
get Donnie that.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it. That'll be your project. That's cool. We'll work on that. Find me something to take care of.
I'm saying we gotta get Donnie. We gonna get him some matching pajamas for Christmas, but I gotta work him up to it. We gonna work on it. Oh my god, that's so interesting. Okay, so last question.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Holly. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Hey, I do. Everyone has a little box, right? So my little box is for the single people, for the self-help. So all I talk to are women all the time, and men too, but mostly women. And they're like, oh, I'm ready to settle down, or how do I find someone? I hate being single. Now I know I got a pimp on the case.
So you playing matchmaker? So I mean, what you asking me about? What are you taking care of? I mean,
Oh, I just
what are you
told you
doing?
I got 2 kids and a dog.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What kind of dog you got? A little dog?
And I'm
Little
trying
dog?
to get rid of all of them. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to go get me a tiny house, a cabana on the beach. I don't know, something that's not taking care of you guys. So anyway, this ain't my show. I mean, this is my show, not your show.
I'm sorry, my bad.
See how that podcast works? Okay, so projects that you're working on now, anything that's coming up big that we need to be looking for or awaiting the countdown for? What's going on with you? What's the next step?
What's going on? Let's see. I got a documentary with some documentaries I'm working on. I've got more podcast stuff. I'm starting to DJ more. I actually like intentionally stopped DJing so much. But I'm starting to do more DJing. I have music that I may put out. I don't know. We'll see. You just got to see, man. I don't know. You just got to stay tuned. I don't really like announcing things too much.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying, I didn't want you to have like something big coming out next month and not give you the platform to brag about it. So
Yeah, no, nothing super major. I mean, just little projects here and there.
Okay.
There is something that I'm doing. I don't see some of the stuff I can't really talk about, but there is something that's coming in Houston that I'm tied to that's really really dope. It'll be something people can come and like check out or whatever. But that'll be like later this year. But if you're into like Houston hip hop, if you like follow me, anybody who follow me, I'm Donnie Houston. Shameless plug. I'm Donnie Houston on everything. Donnie Houston TV on YouTube. But yeah, if you follow me, I'll announce it. I think whenever they're ready to talk about it. So
Okay, yeah, and that was going to be my next question. So it wasn't a shameless plug because I was going to say, how can people find you, Donnie? So it's DONNIE Houston.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm Donnie Houston, so I am, and then Donnie
Okay,
Houston. So.
got it. So I am Donnie Houston.
I am like I am.
Oh, I'm okay. Don't worry, y'all. I'll have it in the podcast notes. Just scroll down because some people they don't listen to get to the last 4 minutes of the podcast anyway. So I'll have all of Donnie's clickable links. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Donnie. I feel inspired. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm absorbing the positive vibes. Thank you.